You're listening to Healing Voices Project, where we share stories and the latest information from people who fight addiction every day. I'm Mike Torville, your host and author of Voices from the Fallen. Thank you for listening, for following, and most of all, for sharing with people you care about. Make your voice count too. Hi everybody, back again here at Healing Voices Project. I'm Mike Torville, your host. And you know, we've talked to so many people. I think we're up to 90-something episodes by now, and we've had so many guests, a lot of them that share their stories, talk about their work, and I always learn something from everybody. And today we have a guest. His name is Jeff Daniels. Jeff, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Sure. Good to have you. I've gotten to know Jeff, a little background here. I've gotten to know Jeff a little bit over the past few months. And I'll sort of admit, I'm not that prepared because I have it's a blank slate here,
Mine
right?
too.
All right. So, but that's kind of good because
Yeah.
I was saying earlier, I said, you know, I feel almost because we didn't talk about what we're going to talk about. Mm-hmm. We've talked a little bit out in the past. So I just feel very comfortable talking with you.
Yeah,
so I figured let's just go with the flow here. So as we talk, there's a lot that I'm going to learn from you as we go along here.
Yeah.
So we're just open things up a little bit. And, so I do know a few things. One, you used to drink a lot. It got out of control. You don't drink anymore.
That's right.
But I think there's more to this story.
It's a little bit more to it. That's it in a nutshell.
That's it in a nutshell. Right. So
thank God.
I think we can dive in. And the whole point too, besides sharing your story, which you've done, and you've talked about this many, many times, the purpose of sharing your story, right, is to have others maybe learn from it, understand what you went through, maybe get inspired and motivated themselves, mm-hmm. and say, okay, if he got through it, maybe I can too, you know, and sharing your struggles, the challenges that you've had, and that really is the bigger purpose, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So, you know, we could start with how it all started. I mean, that's this when you were a kid. We have hours and hours and hours to talk.
Yeah, it's a 6-hour podcast.
Right. We'll condense it down to 30 minutes. But I think what we always have to get some context, right? We always have to find out what happened. How did this all start? Because it's a common thing, right? Mm-hmm. It could be things in your childhood and all that. And then more importantly, I think, once we know, okay, so what happened here? How did you come out of it? You know, how did you meet the challenges? How did you overcome? How did you get to where you are now?
Yeah.
Right? And that's really the whole point of you being here.
Yeah.
So thanks for coming on.
No,
I
absolutely.
appreciate
Thank
it.
you for having me.
Yeah, sure. So, all right. So you're still a young man.
48.
So, 48. And your youth wasn't that far behind you. But you grew up. You're here in Connecticut. I mean, we're in Massachusetts, Connecticut. And sometimes it all seems like one state.
Yeah, I know. New England.
Right. But you didn't grow up in New England.
That's correct. I grew up in Orange County, California.
Orange County. Until you were how old?
I was 18 when I moved out to Connecticut. Yeah.
Why'd you move to Connecticut from California?
My dad, my brother, and my stepmom, they decided to open up a computer training company in 1995. And I was getting in tons of trouble out in California. You know, drinking a lot, drugging, and then got carjacked, got jumped by a few different gangs, and then just realized when they were moving to Connecticut, I thought, you know what, I'm going to get out of here for a while and maybe make my life a little bit less hectic.
Mm-hmm. Did that happen?
No. Turns out an addict can find trouble anywhere.
The trouble found you, or you found it, either way. But so you were out in California, Orange County. You got brothers and sisters?
Yeah, I've got 4. I got 2 brothers, 2 sisters. Yeah.
Where are you in the hierarchy?
Smack dab in the middle.
In the middle?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So your whole family, all of you.
So 2 of them are half brother and sister, so they got a whole, divorced family, and so I've got 2 half brothers and sisters, and then I've got 2, an older sister and an older brother. So I was the younger of the first 3.
Did you have the entire entourage move to Connecticut?
Yeah, it was just me, my brother, my stepmom, and myself.
Okay.
I moved out there right away.
So you're in California. You got in trouble. How much of it was self-inflicted?
A lot of it was self-inflicted.
Yeah.
I grew up in a tough family.
Yeah.
Divorced. My parents got divorced when I was 5. My stepdad, and the dynamic there was tough. For lack of a better word, he just didn't know how to be a good stepdad. Let's put it that way.
Mm-hmm.
And so he had his challenges, and so that just created a really tense environment to grow up as a child.
Yeah.
So constantly on edge, always kind of wondering what's coming around the corner, what's next, learning how to be sneaky, learning how to, you always have anxiety, and you have all these things that, and I was 5, and then you start growing up with that, and so you only know what you know, and so that just started having things happen that made me always nervous, always on edge, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I was around 12 or so, a neighbor friend of mine, he had some alcohol. We didn't have alcohol in my house because a lot of my past family members had alcoholism in the family, with grandparents and things like that.
So with that, your parents said no.
Yeah, so it was always one of those things, hey, we have it in the family, so
keep it away.
Keep it away, which I think in some ways I coveted it at some point.
The scarcity of it.
Don't do this. Like Adam and Eve, don't eat the apple.
Right, the temptation.
I got all this stuff I can have, but I just want this apple.
Yeah.
And so when my friend introduced my first drink was Southern Comfort, and I was like, that was rough, but it felt great. And then it just really loosens you up. It numbs
How old
you
are you
up.
about?
About 12, almost
yeah.
13 maybe.
Yeah.
In junior high. And then that was the end of that. And then it just started going, hey, how can I get more of this? And it's a slow,
Oh, right.
it's a slow fade of
And did you
getting
mix?
into it.
Did you beer, Southern Comfort? Was there other things that just mixed there to just stick with?
Just at first, it was just kind of those types of things, and
Yeah.
sneaking it when you could from my buddy's parents' liquor cabinet and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
And then I just knew I really liked it a lot. And then I started doing, smoking weed, and then 15, 16 years old, getting into cocaine and those types of things. And went to 3 different high schools, so just kind of,
you never felt really rooted either, right?
Yeah, I didn't really feel rooted. I had tons of friends, and I was a skater. I looked like a gangbanger, and so my dad always told me, he's like, you look like a gangbanger. And I'm like, I'm not. I'm a skater. Everybody knows the difference. But in reality of it is, you look like, something, and you're more inclined to get in more trouble, especially when you're hanging out in call it the wrong crowds.
Yeah.
So all through high school, I really just wanted to be high or have a nice drink. I used to fill up a water bottle with halfway with High C fruit punch.
I remember
and fill
High C,
the rest
yeah.
of it with vodka.
Wow.
And I was probably a freshman, sophomore maybe.
During school?
And I just walk around with school with it and drink it. And it was in a clear bottle, and
Did anybody know?
nobody knew because they just thought it was juice.
And you can't smell vodka.
Very hard to smell vodka, which is why it's typically the alcohol of choice
Right.
for alcoholics like myself.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then so that just progressed, and then.
But you got through. You graduated.
Yeah, I stopped going to high school. My family was moving out here when I was 18. I got held back when I was in first grade because they said I didn't pay attention enough. So, which fast forward now, I'm diagnosed with ADHD, bipolar, PTSD. So I've got all these different things. I had a few teachers in high school just say, Jeff, if you don't come back to class, I'll pass you with a C, because I was disruptive. I wasn't.
I mean, it's not funny, but you think they just like, please don't disrupt my class, go away, and I'll pass you.
Yeah,
That's your. Wow.
And I was a respectful kid, believe it or not. But I was just, hey, Mike, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, Jeff, stop talking. I'm like, oh, sorry. And I just couldn't stop talking all the time and moving around.
But you were medicated, though. You were taking medication.
Yeah, I was smoking my marijuana and drinking.
I mean, prescription medicated from a doctor, or just?
Oh no, not at that point.
Not at that point.
No,
Okay.
I had no idea, and I have dyslexia. All these things I didn't know that
You didn't
I even
know.
had.
You
just kind of
self-medicated. That's all.
I figured it was just the way everybody was, and
Yeah.
and that's how you cope with it.
All right.
So thinking I was different and weird because I had all these feelings all the time, nervous and scared even when I had no reason to be. always looking around my shoulder.
Paranoid, right?
Yeah, very paranoid.
That's without smoking or drinking. You were just paranoid.
Yeah.
Did that?
The smoking and drinking helped me not be that way.
Okay.
So it helped relax me and calm me. And then that's where I found, solace in that, because it's like, hey, if I'm drinking, I feel normal. I feel good. And
Sort of balances you out a little bit,
yeah.
right?
And there is that sneakiness as well that can have a draw to it too. Like, oh, I gotta constantly sneak around
It's almost like an adrenaline thing,
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the excitement of it.
Mm-hmm. And it's exhausting, especially when you're a full blown.
Well, then you get the highs and the lows, right?
Mm-hmm.
You get
Exactly.
the exhaustion and the excitement, and you went through all of that through high school.
Yep.
And did you get caught or in trouble at all?
No, it's very, very sneaky. Growing up, and I moved out of my mom's house when I was 15, and then moved in with my dad, and then went to a different high school. That's when I switched
The schools,
to my second high school, and living at my mom's house, I always had to pre-plan everything 5 steps ahead, just to make sure I never got caught in a lie. So every lie had to be like mentally planned out. 5 steps
Strategizing
ahead.
all the time, man.
Yeah.
Huh? Yeah. Okay.
And just constantly thinking. The brain's never turning off, and so that helped me actually through my alcoholism moving forward, because I was a very functional alcoholic. I've been sober now for almost 12 years. It'll be so I stopped drinking at 36, September 24th of 2013, and
Wow.
so, but rewinding all the way back to getting there, moved out here when I was 18. Met my wife. We were both working at Chili's over in Glastonbury, Connecticut, and we ended up getting pregnant, got married, had our first daughter, Taylor. That was a total blessing, and that changed a lot of the trajectory of where I was going in my life. Get a little emotional sometimes, sorry.
Of course, yeah.
But no, that changed my life forever. That just kind of grounded me and rooted me in a better spot. Doesn't say I didn't become my full-blown alcoholic, but at the same time, it really helped have that grounding. And my wife,
It was a big shift, right? Yeah.
Yeah, my wife was, to this day, she's still very supportive. We've been married for about, we just had our 28-year anniversary.
Wow.
I got married at 19.
You were only 19 years old?
Yeah.
Whoa, geez.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then had my second daughter when I was 22, Madeline, and she's amazing. And then just having those 2 girls and just knowing that, I got to take care of them. So that kicked me into gear to actually getting into professional work, working with my dad and my brother, getting into computers, and then worked with them for about 4 years. Really kind of, I was running their IT department, and then switched there and went to Computer Science Corporation, where I was managing like United Technologies.
So from like 19 to early to mid 20s, right?
Yeah. So this is all from moved out here in '95, got married in '97, and then.
But even though there was a shift, you didn't stop.
No, because the alcohol and at that moment it wasn't like a total addiction. It was just a habit of, what are we doing? We're gonna go here. Let's have a drink, and then. It's a slow.
Did it seem harmless to you at the time?
It completely felt harmless at the time, and I would get pretty hammered and wasted, and my wife would be like, "What are you doing? Like, you're all hungover this morning." I'm like, "Sorry, I was having a good time last night."
Did your wife drink too?
She drinks, but very little.
Yeah.
Even to this day, I'm pushing her to drink. I'm like, "No, have a martini. Why not?"
Yeah.
I'm okay being around alcohol now, by the grace of God.
Yeah.
Because if I wasn't okay being around it, I don't think I could do half the things I do, because I'd want to stay home all the time. And that was one of my big fears about not drinking, is stopping drinking. That's forever. Like, I don't get to, go back. If I'm going to take it seriously, I can't go back and drink anymore. And that probably was the scariest thing, because that's all I know. Like, if I'm going somewhere,
it's automatic.
I drink, and that's what it is, and then I'm feeling good. I feel like I was my better self at that point. Like, this is who I truly am, and I was happy, I was fun, I wasn't an angry drunk, and we had a lot of fun.
Did those feelings that you experienced earlier as a kid, the paranoia and anxiety, did those persist throughout that time too? Were they still there? So that still calmed you?
Yeah, and that anxiety, all that stuff, it still happens to this day. You know, and I don't know why it is. I don't blame it on my past. I don't blame it on anything besides the fact that that's just how I am. So I need to cope with it in some fashion. And so I found other ways to cope with that now. But yeah, so I'm running around. I'm kind of climbing the ladder of success, if you will. You know, getting different jobs and companies. And then my dad and my brother sold the company, and their whole plan was to buy it out here, build this franchise up, sell it, and move back to California. And then in that time frame, in that 5-year time frame, you know, met my wife, got married, had 2 kids, bought a house, bought some new cars. Things were going good. I was like 23 years old, and things were going pretty well. And my wife would, even at that time, would be like, "Man, you're drinking all the time. You need to be more responsible." In my mind, I'm thinking, "The hell are you talking about? Be more responsible." I'm like, I've got 2 kids, I got a house. You know, she wasn't working at the time.
Cut me a little slack here, right?
She wasn't working at the time because we had the 2 kids, so she was at home raising them. And I'm going, how much more responsible do I need to be?
Yeah.
And I didn't see it at the time, but looking back at it now, she was 1,000% correct. But especially when you're drinking all the time and you know you have a problem, it's hard to really see the true problem, and then you want to deflect it. You know.
Was there anyone else that brought it to your attention?
Yeah, my dad would. Everybody knew I drank a lot at nighttime. Like, wow, Jeff, when you drink a lot. You know, but I was rarely ever stumbling around and having people.
But you didn't do it halfway. You didn't have just a beer. You didn't have.
I couldn't. It's like Pringles. You know, once you pop, you can't stop, and so I just loved the feeling.
Yeah.
You know, and I would go and go and go, and then I'd started waking up feeling a little hungover. Then I'd take a little shot in the morning to bite the hair of the dog.
It worked.
And that worked, and then it turned into 2 shots in the morning, and then 3 shots, and then I realized my wife's going to come downstairs and catch me one of these days. So then I just started chugging it out of the bottle, and that went even that was worse, because then I didn't know how much I was drinking, and before I knew it, I was drinking a pint of vodka every morning that I woke up.
Wait, most people just have a cup of coffee. Instead, you were having.
I still had the coffee, but
did you mix it, or did you just drank it right out of the bottle?
I would wake up out of bed and I'd be shaking, you know.
And this is in your 20s.
Yeah, this is probably right around 27.
Pretty young guy to experience that, but okay.
And so I'd wake up in the morning and kind of have some shakes. And then and it took years to get to a pint of vodka, you know.
Because you build up a tolerance.
That tolerance keeps building and building.
Right.
So before I knew it, I'm pounding a pint of vodka every morning, jumping in the shower, and then I'd be steady as can be. Then I could go to work. I always had dumbest things in the world, though, but I always had a pint of vodka in my door handle, you know, of my car.
Yeah.
So I could just grab it and chug that whenever I needed to. I always had it in my office desk. And everybody knew, like, hey, you go out to lunch with Jeff? Yeah, I'll probably have a glass of wine. I figured that was more sophisticated than just having a drink, you know,
the vodka might raise questions, but the wine...
Okay. Or a Bloody Mary. Why not have a Bloody Mary to start it off dead? You know, start off the day good. But yeah, so really just I was drinking a handle of vodka every day. At the end of my run of alcohol.
Not a pint anymore. It was a handle.
It ended up being a full handle because I would drink about 5 pints a day of vodka just to maintain to be the way I am right now. Like I wouldn't slur my words. I wouldn't, you know. I actually felt my recall was better back then.
A couple shots affect most people.
Yeah.
You were drinking a full handle.
Yeah.
And just functioning.
Yep. And it was just pints at a time. You know.
Okay, a couple obvious questions. Who was aware you were drinking that much, and these bottles that almost on a daily basis? How did you get rid of them? Hide them? I mean, conceal this from people.
It was a lot of work.
You had a lot of practice as a kid, right? So
I had vodka bottles in my snowboarding boots in the garage.
Yeah.
I had vodka bottles hidden.
You get pretty creative,
in the
don't
rafters in the basement. I had them in my office at home. So I go, I'm gonna go check my email. Go into the office, chug a pint of vodka with a diet soda, and then I'd come back out and just sip my soda. I'd have a beer, so if my wife smelled alcohol,
then it's the
like,
beer.
I'm having a beer.
Yeah, no big deal.
Because I was terrified for anybody to know that, because as soon as anybody that gave a wink of me, cared about me at all, would have brought it to someone else.
And I've heard it many times. If you put that as much effort into something productive as you did in concealing your addiction, you'd be like, it's amazing how
it's
creative. It's exhausting.
It is. I mean, I'll tell you. I mean, it is.
Sometimes it's ingenious, and you think, wow, if I could have applied this.
Like one time we went to California to visit my family, and we get to my mom's house, and we're all there. We just got in. You know, we're all exhausted. And then I'm like, I'll be right back. I left something in the car. So I run out to the car real quick, fly down the street to the closest
liquor store,
grocery store, because in California they sell liquor in the grocery stores, which I used to steal all the time because it wasn't like a liquor store where everybody's watching you, so you can go in there. As a kid, I could just take it.
Oh yeah.
And so anyhow, I went down there, got a bunch of ice cream and this and that, all sorts of stuff at the grocery store, and then
to legitimize your trip.
Got a bunch of pints of vodka, stuck them in the back of the trunk under the tire well, or where the spare tire's at.
Oh yeah.
And then so I could pound that, and then I had my stash, if you would, because my wife would kill me if she knew I went to the store to buy alcohol.
Of course, yeah.
But then I come back, I'm like, hey, and they're like, Jeff, you're the best.
Ice cream for everybody.
You're the best. And I'm like, yeah, if you only knew, So that makes you feel guilty.
Right.
It's like I did that out of selfishness, Yeah, so fast forwarding all the way down, I just, alcohol every single day in our business, doing, real estate world of mortgages and whatnot, lots of functions, lots of drinking, I never wanted to miss anything, so be at my daughter's basketball games because they're 26 and 28 now, and so I'd be at their basketball games, and before I go in, I'd pound a pint of vodka real quick, throw some gum in my mouth, grab a diet soda, I'm good to go. And so towards the end, my wife was getting more annoyed because every night she's like, man, how many drinks did you have? I'm like, I had 3 drinks. I'm like, I just didn't eat very much. You had a million lies that you could come up with. I didn't eat anything today. It hit me much faster. There's a million things that you can say.
Right.
Especially, and I hated it because I'm not a liar, but I had to lie about my alcohol, and that just turns into so many different.
It's a lot of stress.
It is a lot of stress, and I hated lying, so I'm always hiding my alcohol consumption from my wife on how much it was and whatnot. And finally one day my business partner was like, you've been drinking this morning? It was like 8 o'clock in the morning. And there had been some, rumors around the office like, man, I think, Jeff's been drinking a lot more. Nobody knew I was drinking in the morning. But it's like, man, what is going on with Jeff? And then so, my business partner goes, you been drinking this morning? I'm like, yeah, I have. I don't know why the hell I even said yes.
Because here you've been lying for so long. Maybe you just finally gave up and said, you know what, I'm tired of lying.
And for years, I would wake up every morning going, I'm not going to drink today. I'm going to make this not happen.
For years?
Today. Yeah.
Yeah.
And every once in a while on a Saturday or Sunday, I'd be like, I'm not drinking today. I'm just going to stay in bed. And I'd go into full convulsions and fevers. And I didn't know at the time, though, that I was actually, completely detoxing. Your blood thickens because you haven't drank, because you're drinking for so long, your blood thins out. And then when you stop drinking, just overnight, your blood starts to thicken. So it's like pumping oil when your body's used to pumping water. And I never realized either until I went to rehab that can cause cardiac arrest and you can die from it. So I'd be getting these complete convulsions. My wife's like, are you okay? I'm like, I just got a fever. I'm sweating. And then I couldn't take it anymore around noontime. So I'd get up, pound a pint of vodka. Felt 1,000% better. And I'd go downstairs and I'd forget. And one time I hopped off the stairs and I jumped down. And I'm like, hey, hon. I'm going to the grocery store. And she's like, wow. She's like, you're feeling better. I'm like, oh, shoot. I'm like, Jeff, what are you doing? I was just saying I had a fever like 20 minutes ago.
Yeah, short memory.
I'm like, it must have passed.
Yeah.
I'm like, feeling better.
I'm good now. Yeah.
And so yeah, just very good at lying and deceiving people to do that, and it was I hated it, but I would wake up every day for the last couple of years saying I don't want to drink anymore. After
all those years of deception and stress and anxiety, and a business partner asked you and you said, yeah, I have been drinking. Something changed. Obviously, what brought you to finally acknowledge this and say, okay, I'm going to do something about this? After years of waking up saying I'm going to stop and not doing it
from everybody, not getting caught, just a
what was
silly
the
question.
Final thing that finally made you say, I can't keep this up?
I'm a big believer in God, and I think he was just like, you're going to say it right now. And I'm like, and I just said, yeah. And he's like, well, why? And I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, I do it every day. I do it every morning. And he's like, okay. He actually was kind of like, I wasn't expecting that answer. I thought you were going to be like,
caught me off guard there with that one. Yeah,
I used to tell people if they smelt any alcohol, I'm like, oh yeah, man, you should have seen me last night.
blame it on the night before.
It's like, it's still coming out of my pores.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
had an excuse for everything.
Of course, right.
And he asked me, well, why don't you stop? I'm like, I try stopping every day. And he's like, why don't you go to rehab? I'm like, no. I'm like, I can do it on my own. He's like, how's that working out for you?
Yeah.
You know?
Right, obviously, right, yeah.
Like, I've been trying for years. He's like, how's that working out for you? I'm like, yeah. And I wouldn't have told my wife. I think it was just a different dynamic. My wife afterwards, wasn't upset that I told him, but she was like, why didn't you ever confide in me? And I'm like, because I didn't know how. Ashamed, don't want to admit it.
Yeah, just normal, yeah.
And then you're talking to a buddy of yours, and it comes out, and it's just like, wow. Like, the best thing that could have happened, though, because he's like, why don't you go to rehab? I'm like, no, I don't need to go to rehab. I can do it on my own. And what would everybody think? And my mental thought of rehab was metal tables, people in these gowns that have their
sort of this
bare
clinical
ass.
environment.
They
that's
got
just
their naked bare ass kind of hanging out.
Cuckoo's nest picture, yeah, right?
Yeah, and I'm like, no, that's not me. I can do this on my own.
Yeah.
So anyways, I end up doing it. Go to detox.
You ended up because somebody convinced you to, or you finally said, yeah, that's what I need?
I think it was he was just like, why don't you just do it?
And finally
And
you gave in and said, all right.
I'm like, yeah, maybe, I think I will. I think I will. And then I looked into it more. I was drinking too much alcohol per day to just go to a normal rehab. They sent me to they told me I had to go to a detox center.
Yeah.
So I detoxed down in Silver Hill in New Canaan.
Okay.
And then did the rest of my 28-day rehab up at Mountainside in Canaan, or Canaan, however you say it. And then I was miserable the first 2 weeks of rehab. And I, by the way, one of the things I think with my recovery, though, is that I told everybody. I'm like, I'm an alcoholic. I'm going to rehab.
That feel good?
It felt great because it's like I needed some accountability.
Yeah.
And if I hit it, and a lot of people I talk with, because I do talk to a lot of people that come to me and they say, Jeff, I think I might be an alcoholic. I don't know. And usually that's the first sign that you're getting there, at least, or
yeah.
So,
when you start
and
questioning,
everybody's at different levels, and I would never want to say that anybody's anything.
Right.
But it definitely helped. I lost my train of thought, but basically going to rehab really just helped me realize how bad I had it.
Well, one, you're surrounded by others who are sharing their own stories, and you see, okay, it's not just me, but also too, by talking about it, it's kind of therapeutic and it's a release, right?
Yeah.
And finally, you almost feel relieved that finally, I don't have to hold this in anymore.
Yeah.
And I think and I'm not trying to speak for you, but what I've heard from many people, once you start talking about it, you find others are then more comfortable to reveal their own stories, and you say, wow, I had no idea that you were also, or your family member went through this stuff. And did that change how you viewed this whole thing?
It really did, because I love to help people just inherently. That's just what I like to do.
Yeah.
And sharing my story was therapeutic for me.
Yeah.
And then I had no idea that it was going to come back with almost every time I start talking about it with somebody pulls me aside afterwards and goes, hey, just wanted to let you know that I think I'm struggling, or my brother, or so-and-so, and what do you think I should do? And
they're more comfortable sharing.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
And quite a few people have come to me and talked to me. I've had other people say, hey, can I have this guy call you? He's struggling. And every once in a while you get those calls back that say, hey, I've been sober now for 3 or 4 years because of, sitting down with you, and you just helped me understand it. And they did it all on their own, but it's a blessing to hear that, like, wow, they really
made a difference.
My past and my experiences that I had, although they might not have been fantastic, they've been able to help other people in some way.
You can feel that you've made a difference in somebody. Yeah. You went to the rehab. How long were you there for in total?
7 days in detox,
yeah,
and then 28 days in rehab.
Just one time, or did you go back at all?
One time. I'm glad you brought that up, because I hated rehab at first. I'm like, why am I here? If you want me to stop drinking, throw me in front of a bottle of vodka and tell me not to drink it. Like, I don't need to do all this sharing, and so I was had a little chip on my shoulder.
Yeah.
And then 2 weeks into it, I started realizing, okay, this isn't so bad, and I started realizing what they were doing. They were trying to get us into a routine of eating better, exercising, doing yoga, meditating, all these things. I'm like, what the heck are we doing?
All
here?
new stuff to you.
Yeah, I'm like, what are we doing this for? And they told me, post-acute withdrawal syndrome, which is pause, that says, hey, when you get out of rehab, your brain's not going to function the same way. You're going to have to. It's basically created new pathways, new highways, if you will, to gather data and information. Didn't really listen to that too much. I was like, I don't have that problem. But when I got out of rehab, I realized I did have that problem. I couldn't come up with basic words, any small word that you want.
Like,
to
what's
use.
wrong with me now, right?
Why am I just completely, I can't think. And but one of the biggest things for me was they said in one of the speeches, we had about 100 people or so in the rehab, and they said 80% of you guys are going to fail.
Mm.
And you will be back here, you might die. Only 20% of you will actually make it on your first round and move on. And that actually was good for me because I thought, screw that. If they told me that 80% of us were going to make it, I probably would have done the opposite. I would have been like, 80% will make it.
Almost
I'll
like
be
you
the
had
20%er.
You had to be defiant.
I
and
had
say,
to be
can,
defiant, and
yeah.
I'm like, I'm not drinking anymore. So, had a ton of support from my family. Everybody was supportive. I told everybody about it. I still tell everybody about it to this day. And when I got out of rehab, the first thing I did was go to the bar, my local bar.
Yeah.
My bartender sees me, Jeff, how's it going? She grabs the glass, grabs the vodka, and I'm like, actually, hold on. I'm like, I just got out of rehab. I'm like, I just came in here and I sat at the bar, and she's like, what the hell are you doing here? And I'm like, I had to face my demons behind the bar. I'm like, I haven't seen alcohol for almost 40 days.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and I got a tonic and lime, and I sat there at the bar for about an hour. And for me, I don't recommend it to most people, but for me that was huge because anytime somebody wanted to fight me or anytime I had a problem, I always was like, I'm not running from it. I'm just, even if I got my ass kicked, I was going to that fight, even if I knew I was losing.
Yeah, and I think it made me think about triggers, right? There's all kinds of them, right? Mm-hmm. And that was, okay, sitting at a bar is the obvious one, right? Walking in and naturally, and then events and things that would trigger you to say, okay, yeah, I got to have a beer, I got to have a bar, I got to do something. You confronted it dead on, which is commendable because you're right. A lot of people would say, what are you, nuts,
Yeah.
But when you got out of there, I was just going to ask you a question, but you almost answered it yourself. You decided to just the first thing you did, and I was going to ask what scared you the most, but you confronted it. What fears did you have or anxiety to say, oh my gosh, how can I? What's going to change in my life now? That's going to be worse.
My fear was I didn't know who the hell I was, because I'm like, I only know myself as, drinking and smoking weed, and. Like, am I even going to like my inner thoughts? Am I even going to like who I am? Am I even going to be a nice person?
That's pretty scary.
Yeah. And so that terrified me. And then am I even going to be able to socialize with people and have fun? And the answer is yes, you can do it. And you can do it and have even more fun. Now, I used to close every bar and close every party, and my wife was annoyed with that. Can we go now? Can we go? And I'm like, no, we're having fun. Now I'm kind of like, well, it's like 12:30. Let's get out of here. I'm tired.
Yeah.
But luckily I can be around alcohol. I make cocktails and drinks for my daughters because they're of age, and they don't have my problem. And I love it because it makes me still feel normal. But God, honestly, at the end of the day, God just took the desire.
That made the difference.
God took the desire to drink away from me. Now, would I still like to go do it and drink it? Of course I would. I would love to do it. But it's like being allergic to something, If you're allergic to gluten, you can't eat pizza. But you want it really bad. But if you do, it's not going to be good for you. And that's the same way I look at alcohol. I go, I could totally drink it today, and I'd have a blast. But guess what? It would just be a downhill slope from there.
And you're well aware of that. Yeah, that's a great way of putting it, because just consider yourself allergic to it, and the consequences of that are far worse than. Yeah. But those fears dissolved a little bit over time.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You just say, wait, I can have fun. Mm-hmm. I don't need the alcohol. And you say God helped you, which is huge, because a lot of people actually have that same feeling that they say, I couldn't do this without that. Mm-hmm. And now you go to AA meetings?
I went to AA meetings for the first 90 days, like Rehab suggested. Mm-hmm. I don't know why. I hate saying this, but I just didn't connect with anyone. It didn't connect for me. I felt more depressed sometimes when I'd leave. Yeah. But so I stopped doing that. Yeah. But I do go to different rehab centers from time to time, and I kind of share my story.
Yeah.
And that I like doing a lot better because it's something that I can kind of show and hopefully instill in people that, hey, it's possible. Whether you're alcohol, whether it's drugs, whether it's any type of addiction that you might have, if you want to stop, you can stop, but you can't do it for other people. You can't do it because the courts, mandated that you do it. You really have to do it for you. Mm-hmm. And if you don't, I would find it very hard to do it for anybody else, because I don't want to drink. I don't want to go back to where I was. Mm-hmm. And I was very successful when I was drinking. I was doing the best I had ever been in my life. And so that was confusing for me too, because I'm like, well, work isn't suffering. I'm making more money than I ever have in my entire life. I got this big brand new house. Everything's going great.
But your health was, and your stress was, right? I mean, your health was suffering.
Because it was functional.
Yeah.
And I was able to do that, then it made it too easy in some ways to drink all the time.
Yeah.
But now, life is so much better. I get to be a part of my daughter's lives when they were in high school going through stuff. My daughter turned 16 when I was in rehab. So that sucked.
Well, but it sucked, but it's also a gift.
Mm-hmm.
It was a gift to your family and to you.
Yeah. So I felt like a failure at some level. Like I let my family down. But at the same time, they were so supportive. They're like, Dad, we want you to do this. So I think they're happy that I quit drinking. And now I've got a grandson who's amazing. And life is just better,
12 years.
Here I go. You got me crying, Mike.
12 years into it.
Yeah.
But instead of your life, going downhill, it's so much more rewarding. Your life is so much better.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you said, and I think a lot of people can't imagine, like you couldn't either. You said, who am I? What am I going to be like? I don't even know who I am. Mm-hmm. It's scary stuff. And now 12 years later, you say, life is massively better than it was before.
Yeah,
that's a huge gift. Yeah.
Yeah, and I praise God every day for it because I couldn't do it without him.
Yeah. Wow. Well, Jeff, I appreciate sharing that a lot.
Thank you.
We could talk on and on, but time's running out.
Yeah, absolutely. But this is great, and thank you. Hopefully it touches somebody and helps them. But I would just say, if you're, my only advice to somebody is, if you're worried about yourself or if you think you have a problem, pay more attention to it, because I just kept saying, I'm not that bad, and then
I think about the time somebody asked you the question and you finally said, yeah, I haven't. That honesty that came out was life changing.
It was like a huge weight off my shoulder, and then a whole another weight came on, because now I got to do it, and terrified of not drinking again, and it's the scariest thing ever.
You wouldn't change a thing right now about your rehab journey, would you?
No, I wouldn't change a thing about my life, even the bad stuff, the good stuff, because it makes you everything that you are today. And all the things I went through as a kid and in high school with gangs and getting beat up and jumped and all that stuff, and you learn lessons, and then you can kind of help other people and go, yeah, I've been in that similar situations, or I feel like I can put myself in people's scenarios a little bit better sometimes.
Yeah.
So I don't regret any of it.
And it's great that you're talking to people about it and visiting, because you're right. You said it earlier. There's a lot of people come in and say, hey, I listened to you talk and I haven't drank in 3 years, or I haven't.
Yeah.
So that's phenomenal. Yeah. Well, hey, I'm going to give you a couple of these books. Share it with people that you speak with.
Thank you.
This is the 8 stories that we talked about earlier. But
Yeah.
I think sometimes it's the same way you speak about your what you went through. Hopefully, these stories in here help people too. But
well, yeah, I appreciate that.
Sure.
And I think what you're doing here is fantastic, and I've been watching a lot of your different podcasts since we talked a few months ago about it.
Yeah.
And
Thank you.
They're great. They're fantastic stories, and they're very inspiring.
Well, you've certainly helped us, and you're helping other people too. So, thank you, Jeff. Appreciate it,
sir.
very much. Yep, and thanks everybody for listening. Again, visit us at healingvoicesproject.org. Thanks again. See you all soon.